Welcome to today's video, where we will embark on a journey through profound insights drawn from ancient wisdom. In this lesson, we'll explore significant events that unfolded after the passing of a great spiritual leader. Though our focus today will integrate principles not commonly discussed, drawing parallels between these events and teachings from Buddhism. We'll dive into the cosmic consequences, symbolic shifts, and deeper meanings that resonate across time and faith. Before we dive deeper into the mysteries ahead, if this video touches your heart or resonates with you, I invite you to subscribe to our channel. Join us in this journey of spiritual discovery. And, in the comments below, let's manifest something beautiful into your life. If you're seeking peace, health, or prosperity, comment, "I manifest abundance, peace, and wisdom in my life." Now, let's begin by examining the first event. The earthquake. The ground trembled in response to a pivotal moment. Much like the ripples in a pond caused by a single stone, the earthquake after this great figure's death symbolizes the far-reaching effects of a transformative life and its conclusion. In Buddhist teachings, the shaking of the earth is often associated with the awakening of greater truths, moments of karmic significance that ripple through the fabric of reality. This is no ordinary earthquake. It speaks to the profound connection between the physical and spiritual worlds. As the earth trembles, it is as if the universe itself reacts to the magnitude of this passing. Buddha's own enlightenment is often described as accompanied by natural phenomena, signaling the moment when spiritual truth breaks through the material plane. Imagine the followers, gathered at the scene, feeling the tremor beneath their feet. They are not only mourning the death of a monk, but witnessing a shift in the natural order. The earthquake here serves as a bridge between realms, the visible and the invisible, the temporal and the eternal. It is a moment of revelation, when the veils between dimensions thin and spiritual truths, too often hidden, become apparent. In the Buddhist perspective, such tremors symbolize the interruption of ignorance and the birth of understanding. When the earth moves, so too do the minds and hearts of those who are open to the teachings it heralds. In this context, the earthquake may be understood as a cosmic response to the death of attachment, a theme central to both Christian and Buddhist philosophies. The individual who passes away is not merely a monk, but a symbol of transcending the self and ego. At the heart of this event is the realization that change is inevitable, both in nature and within us. The shaking ground beneath our feet reminds us that nothing is permanent, neither life nor death. And with this recognition comes an invitation to awaken, to see beyond the transient and embrace the eternal truths that this moment reveals. The earthquake is, in many ways, a precursor to greater things. Much like the shaking that often precedes moments of profound personal growth in Buddhist narratives, it represents a breaking down of the old to make way for the new. The earth must tremble to birth mountains, and in the trembling of the earth, a powerful message emerges. Nothing is untouched by the great transitions of life and death. But what could possibly follow such an event? How do the mysteries deepen after the earth itself has responded to the momentousness of this passing? To understand this, we must turn to the next remarkable occurrence, the opening of the tombs. Stay with me as we explore what happens when the living and the dead meet on the same plane of existence. This next chapter offers insights into resurrection, karmic cycles, and the profound power of transformation. The tombs opened. The tombs opened, and the ancient dead were said to walk among the living. This moment is steeped in spiritual symbolism, transcending the physical resurrection of individuals and pointing toward a much deeper transformation. In Buddhist teachings, this opening of tombs can be seen as a metaphor for awakening, the breaking free from the karmic cycle of death and rebirth. In the context of this event, the dead walking among the living becomes more than just a supernatural occurrence. It speaks to the enduring nature of the spirit. These figures emerge not simply as individuals resurrected, but as symbols of wisdom and teachings from ages past. Just as in Buddhism, where enlightened beings return to guide others. The resurrected in this tale serve as messengers, reminding the living of the eternal nature of the soul. Consider the significance of this from a Buddhist lens. The opening of tombs mirrors the opening of minds, the breaking down of ignorance, and the release from samsara, the endless cycle of suffering. The dead, no longer bound by their graves, are now free, much like the soul that attains enlightenment and escapes the grasp of reincarnation. The resurrection is not just physical, it is spiritual liberation. The city of Jerusalem, with these newly resurrected figures, becomes a place where the past meets the present, where the karmic consequences of lifetimes reveal themselves. The old teachings, embodied in these saints, re-enter the world, and their presence demands that we, the living, re-examine our lives, our attachments, and the illusions we cling to. They serve as a reminder that wisdom is eternal and that the past informs the future. There is also a profound connection here to Buddha's concepts of impermanence. The tomb's opening signifies that even death is not a permanent state. In fact, nothing in life is. We are all on a journey of constant transformation. The resurrected figures show us that death is not the end, but merely a transition, a passage to another state of existence, whether in this world or another. As we reflect on the importance of these tombs opening, let's also consider the message this conveys to us in our daily lives. Just as these figures emerge from their resting places, we too can break free from the tombs of our own making, the tombs of doubt, fear, and ignorance. These are the barriers that prevent us from living fully in the present moment and from experiencing the richness of life. To truly appreciate the significance of this event, we must look at it not just as a miraculous happening, but as a call to personal transformation. What are the tombs in your life that you need to open? What parts of yourself need resurrection? What wisdom from the past can you draw upon to guide your present? But this is just the beginning of our journey. There is a much deeper and more profound event that awaits us next, the tearing of the temple veil. It is in this act that the spiritual barriers are truly broken, and we find a new level of understanding about the connection between the divine and humanity. The temple veil was torn. The veil in the temple was torn from top to bottom. This event is laden with profound spiritual meaning, and in many ways, it represents a turning point in human understanding. In Buddhist teachings, this act can be interpreted as the removal of illusion, the tearing away of the material separation that blinds us from the truth of interconnection. The Holy of Holies, hidden behind the temple veil, represented a space that only the high priest could enter. It was a place that symbolized the distance between humanity and the divine. Yet, with the tearing of this veil, that separation was abolished. In a similar way, the teachings of the Buddha aim to remove the veil of ignorance, allowing us to see the world as it truly is, free from the illusions of separation and duality. In this moment, the temple veil is not just a physical barrier. It is a metaphor for the walls we construct in our own minds. These walls are built by ego, fear, and attachment, separating us from the divine nature within ourselves and others. But when the veil is torn, we are given the opportunity to experience unity, a central theme in Buddhist philosophy, where the interconnectedness of all things is a fundamental truth. The tearing of the veil is a moment of liberation. Just as the Buddha taught that enlightenment could be attained by anyone, regardless of caste, the tearing of the veil symbolizes that all people now have direct access to the divine. There is no longer a need for intermediaries. This is a profound shift, one that invites each of us to seek our own spiritual path and find the divine within. In Buddhism, the concept of non-duality teaches us that there is no real separation between self and other, between the mundane and the sacred. The tearing of the veil mirrors this teaching. It is a moment when the illusion of separation dissolves, and we are left with the raw, unfiltered truth of existence. This truth is not confined to a sacred space. It is present everywhere and in everyone. As we contemplate this moment, we are invited to reflect on the veils in our own lives. What are the barriers that keep us from experiencing the divine? Are they external, like societal expectations, or internal, such as our own fears and doubts? By tearing down these veils, we can come closer to the truth of who we are in our place in the universe. But this event is not an end. It is only a new beginning. The tearing of the veil opens the door to a deeper understanding, but there is still more to come. Ahead, we will confront the darkness that fell over the land, a powerful symbol that speaks to the nature of suffering, impermanence, and the eventual dawn of light. Stay with me as we explore this next profound moment of cosmic and spiritual significance. Darkness over the land. Darkness fell over the land, a supernatural event that coincided with the death of this great figure. In many ways, this darkness is a metaphor for the spiritual and emotional shadows that engulf us during times of suffering and loss. In Buddha's teachings, darkness can represent ignorance, attachment, and suffering, the core obstacles on the path to enlightenment. For 3 hours, the land was shrouded in darkness. This moment reminds us of the impermanence of all things. Just as night eventually gives way to dawn, so too do the dark periods in our lives eventually lead to new beginnings. In Buddhism, the concept of samsara, the cycle of birth, death, and rebirth, teaches us that suffering is a natural part of existence, but it is not permanent. The darkness that covered the land symbolizes a collective grief, a mourning not only for the life that was lost but for the illusions and attachments that had been held so tightly. It is a moment of reflection, where the world seems to pause, and we are left alone with our thoughts. In this stillness, we are given the opportunity to confront our own shadows and recognize the transient nature of all things. This period of darkness also serves as a reminder of the Buddhist principle of duality, the idea that light and dark, joy and sorrow, life and death, are all part of the same whole. We cannot have one without the other. The darkness that falls over the land is a necessary counterpart to the eventual resurrection, just as suffering is often the precursor to enlightenment. In this darkness, we are invited to sit with our own discomfort. What shadows are we avoiding? What suffering are we trying to escape? Buddhism teaches that by facing our suffering head-on, we can move through it and ultimately find peace. The darkness is not something to fear. It is a natural part of the spiritual journey. As the darkness lifts, we will see the light that comes after. But before we reach that point, there is one final realization that must occur: the recognition of truth by an unlikely source, a Roman centurion. His epiphany will show us that enlightenment can come from the most unexpected places, and that the truth is available to all who seek it. The centurion's realization. The Roman centurion overseeing the crucifixion was an unlikely figure to experience a moment of profound spiritual clarity. Yet, as he witnessed the earthquake, the darkness, and the otherworldly events surrounding the death of this great leader, he came to a powerful realization. Truly, this was the Son of God. This moment is significant not just for its historical implications but for what it represents spiritually. In Buddhism, enlightenment can come to anyone, at any time, regardless of their background or prior beliefs. The centurion, a man steeped in the rigid discipline of the Roman army, was not someone we would expect to experience such a profound awakening. And yet, in this moment, he did. The centurion's realization speaks to the universal nature of truth. Just as the Buddha taught that enlightenment is available to all, this event shows us that spiritual awakening can come from the most unexpected sources. It is a reminder that we should never underestimate the power of a single moment to transform our understanding of the world. But what led to the centurion's realization? Was it the earthquake, the darkness, or was it the culmination of all these events which finally broke through the layers of disbelief and skepticism? In many ways, this mirrors the Buddhist path to enlightenment, where one must often confront a series of obstacles, doubts, and distractions before finally seeing the truth. The centurion's declaration also invites us to reflect on our own lives. How often do we miss moments of profound spiritual significance because we are too focused on the material world, on our roles and responsibilities? The centurion was a man of war, of authority, and yet in this moment, he was humbled by the truth that lay before him. In Buddhist terms, this is a moment of satori, a sudden awakening, a flash of insight that changes everything. It reminds us that the truth is always present, waiting to be recognized. We need only to open our eyes and our hearts to see it. As we bring this journey to a close, let's remember the lessons we've learned, that the earth shakes, tombs open, veils are torn, darkness descends, and truth is realized. Each event carries a deeper meaning, a spiritual truth that transcends time and culture. But the journey doesn't end here. In the next video, we will explore what happens after these events, how the resurrection and teachings of this great leader continue to shape the world, and what they mean for us today. So, if you're ready to continue on this path of discovery, make sure you're subscribed and stay tuned for what's to come. If today's video resonated with you, I encourage you to subscribe and join us on this journey of spiritual exploration. There is so much more to discover, and together, we can delve deeper into the mysteries of life, death, and enlightenment. Don't forget to check out the other videos on our channel for more insights into ancient wisdom and modern spiritual practice. See you in the next video.